Two of the world's most famous physicists are at war, and what they're fighting about could determine whether humanity is being told the truth about what's heading toward Earth right now. On one side, Harvard's Avi Loeb, the scientist who's been tracking every anomaly in 3IATLAS for 4 months. On the other, Michio Kaku, the TV physicist who just told millions of people there's nothing to worry about. But here's what Kaku didn't tell you. He hasn't written a single scientific paper on 3IATLAS, not one. And according to Loeb, that's not an accident. The public confrontation. 3 days ago, Avi Loeb did something scientists almost never do. He publicly called out another physicist by name. In an interview, Loeb stated that Michio Kaku is trying to be liked and has written no scientific papers on interstellar objects. Now, why does this matter? Because for the past 2 weeks, Michio Kaku has been on television telling people that 3IATLAS is definitely just a comet, that there's nothing to worry about, and that anyone suggesting otherwise is chasing Hollywood fantasies. But here's the problem. Kaku made these statements without publishing any peer-reviewed analysis of 3IATLAS. 0 papers, 0 data, 0 calculations. Loeb, on the other hand, has published multiple analyses on Medium documenting 10 specific anomalies that don't match natural comet behavior. So one scientist is showing his work, the other is telling you to trust him because he's on TV. The big caveat Kaku ignored. According to Loeb, there's a big caveat that Kaku completely failed to mention in his dismissal of the anomalies. Let's talk about what Kaku conveniently left out. The James Webb Space Telescope detected unusually high carbon dioxide levels in 3IATLAS's coma. That's documented. But what Kaku didn't tell his audience is what those CO2 levels mean for the object's behavior near the sun. Loeb calculated that to produce the mass ejection we're seeing in those 7 jets, 3IATLAS would need to sublimate about 5 billion tons of CO2 during its perihelion passage. That requires absorbing at least 3 times 10 to the 18th power joules of energy. At its perihelion distance, the sun provides 700 joules per square meter per second. Do the math. That requires an absorbing area of at least 1,600 square kilometers. That's the area of a sphere with a diameter of 23 kilometers. The surface area doesn't match the energy requirements. Not even close. The pattern of dismissal. This isn't the first time the scientific establishment has tried to kill legitimate questions about anomalous objects with authority rather than evidence. Let's rewind to 2017, when One-Eye Oumuamua was detected. Loeb published a peer-reviewed paper in the astrophysical journal Letters suggesting its acceleration couldn't be explained by outgassing. He was ridiculed, called a publicity seeker, told he was damaging science. But here's what happened next. In 2023, other scientists confirmed that Oumuamua's acceleration couldn't be explained by water outgassing because it didn't emit any detectable water vapor. Loeb was right. The critics were wrong, but nobody apologized. Now it's happening again with 3IATLAS, and this time, Kaku is leading the dismissal campaign. But there's something else going on here. Something that makes this fight about more than just 2 scientists disagreeing. Who benefits from dismissal? On November 13th, just yesterday, Loeb appeared on Newsmax and revealed something disturbing about NASA's behavior. The space agency took high-resolution images of 3IATLAS with the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter on October 2nd, when it passed within 18 million miles of Mars. That was 45 days ago. Those images still haven't been released. NASA Acting Administrator Sean Duffy told Newsmax the delay was due to the government shutdown. But Loeb pointed out that the HiRISE website has been releasing new Mars images daily throughout this entire period. They're releasing routine Mars images, but they're holding back the 3IATLAS images. The HiRISE website specifically states, any images of the interstellar comet 3IATLAS are considered NASA-wide news. Because the federal government is in shutdown, communications of NASA news have been suspended. They singled it out. Why? And here's where Kaku's role becomes interesting. He spent the last 2 weeks going on television, telling people that there's nothing unusual about 3IATLAS, that it's definitely natural, that there's no mystery. He's providing cover for institutional inaction. Whether intentionally or not, his dismissals give NASA permission to slow walk the data release. After all, if a famous physicist says it's just a comet, why rush? These 7 jets, nobody wants to explain. 2 days ago, the Nordic Optical Telescope captured new images of 3IATLAS. What they show is impossible for a normal comet. 7 distinct jets, some reaching 1 million kilometers toward the sun, others extending 3 million kilometers in the opposite direction. For a natural comet, the outflow velocity of jets is about 0.4 kilometers per second, roughly the sound speed of gas at that distance from the sun. At that speed, these jets must have persisted for 1 to 3 months to reach their current size. But here's the critical part. Loeb calculated that the jets toward the sun were stopped by solar wind at a distance of 1 million kilometers. That means their mass density is a few million proton masses per cubic centimeter. Multiply that mass density by the outflow speed, and you get a mass flux of 5 billion tons per month. For context, that's more than the total mass of all commercial aircraft ever built by humanity, ejected every single month. Michio Kaku didn't mention any of this in his television appearances. He just said it looks like a comet and walks like a comet, so it must be a comet. But comets don't do this. So here's where we are. One scientist is publishing calculations, showing his work, and asking uncomfortable questions based on actual measurements. The other is going on television, offering no data and telling you to stop asking questions. One has documented 10 anomalies and is waiting for December 19th, when 3IATLAS makes its closest approach to Earth, to gather more evidence. The other says there's nothing to see here. NASA is sitting on 45-day-old high-resolution images that could settle parts of this debate. They're not releasing them. And the establishment's most visible physicist is running cover, telling the public that anyone who questions the official narrative is chasing science fiction. Lean in, serious tone. Loeb said it best in his Newsmax interview yesterday. The foundation of science is the humility to learn, not the arrogance of expertise. The question is, who's showing humility and who's showing arrogance? In 35 days, on December 19th, 3IATLAS will be close enough for definitive measurements. We'll see if those 7 jets are natural outgassing or something else entirely. Until then, ask yourself, why is one scientist showing you the math while the other is just showing you his TV smile? I'll be watching, and I'll show you exactly what they find or what they refuse to show us.